This is Overtime, a live series brought to you by Lynx and War Room Media, where we talk about basically anything we want. And here are your hosts, Greg Williams and Ryan Ray. Ryan,
What's up, man?
good morning.
Morning. Where are you at in the world right now? Are you stateside or are you somewhere overseas in undisclosed locations?
No. I am stateside right now
Okay.
in our little cozy 10 by 10 here.
There you go. You got your mask on when you leave the office?
Totally. When I walk outside, I'm completely protected from the world. Yeah. So, how was your Thanksgiving?
It was good. We broke all of the rules that were, about not having people over or going to people's house. So that was a small victory. It's a small victories in 2020. So
yeah, we did as well. It was we had a good one. The change in temperature here was welcomed at my house. That's for sure.
yeah, it's gotten to where, up here and where I'm at in Texas, it gets cool, but when it gets cool, the wind starts to blow pretty good. And so, if you go outside and you got a jacket on, it might be 45 degrees, but that wind will gust up and it'll put you in check, to put it mildly.
All right, so we got a pretty packed little 30 minutes here, so let's just jump right into it.
Let's go.
All right, for our oil prices. So it looks like we're setting at on the WTI side today, it's $45.34. So yeah, it's been holding steady for a couple of days there. What do you think, Ryan?
I predicted a few before Thanksgiving that WTI would go below 35 before the end of the year. And so that's just not going to happen. I think it's safe to say that unless something changes dramatically, it's just not going to happen. I don't know why prices are so high. So it's one of these things that's weird because I don't desire for prices to be low. I want them to be high, but I don't understand why they're high. There's not a lot of math behind the price, it seems, and so it's concerning that we might find ourselves, if we're not careful, with the overinflated price. If you go back and look, someone did the numbers yesterday. The year over year storage ending, or month over month storage ending. Year over year by the end of the month. And so our current storage level is the same for the end of November as it was in 2016. So we've got as much oil in storage right now as we had at the end of 2016. So why is the price at 45?
Speculation, yeah. Yeah, I mean, of course, we'll get into some of the sentiment in the market, but I mean, the lot to do with speculation from the OPEC Plus meeting, as well as some of the vaccine, but I mean, it's none of it's on the market yet. Neither one, So the talk about the additional output nor the vaccine is just, I guess, a prelude. I guess.
And in Los Angeles, shut back down again. LA issued a stay-at-home order last night or this morning, I can't remember, and so. That's obviously not global demand, but LA has demand. And so how is the price not,
Is this a full lockdown? What, I mean, is this only can go out daylight hours or what?
So I haven't read the full details. It's here. Residents in the city of Los Angeles to remain in their homes amid COVID-19 surge, mayor office says.
Oh, yeah.
And so all residents within the city of LA should continue to remain in their homes and follow their safer at home order, which mirrors the guidelines of LA County. A public order posted on the mayor's website Wednesday detailed the many of the restrictions, including the ban on some travel with a variety of exemptions. So, you also saw, you see the deal about the football teams in California?
No, I did not.
Yeah, so like the 49ers can no longer play in San Francisco, neither can Stanford. So Santa Clara County kicked them out basically for the rest of this season.
What?
So they have to go to I think Stanford's going to Washington to play, and the 49ers are going to Arizona.
I'm at a loss for that one. Yeah.
Well, yeah, I don't know what price. That's my larger point.
Oh man, yeah, so many things and changing in so many different places.
I know it.
So yeah, the market sentiment. So yesterday there was a article that came out from Bloomberg on the OPEC Plus, and so it looks like the 23 nation cartel there are trying to resolve some diplomatic issues centered around, it looks like, Saudi and the UAE. So over how much output that they want to put back on the market. So looks like there's some differences between Saudi and the UAE, but most of the other nations favored the 1.9 million barrel a day. Oh no, sorry, they did not favor it. They favored deferring it for obvious reasons, which being that the market's so fragile. So, but there was a quote there from the I guess the co-founder of the consultant that looks like Energy Aspects Limited. It says the market is underestimating a little bit how serious this is. She told Bloomberg Television she didn't predict a messy outcome this week, but sees tensions persisting into next year. So, what are your thoughts there, Ryan?
I'll never forget the day in March when I walked out of my office. I hear what I was doing when I found the news, but I remember walking out of my office, reading the news that the Russians had walked out of the meeting, and they were basically saying, "Screw the Saudis, we're going to do our own thing," and that really started the worst part of 2020 for me. And so where we're at now, we're still in 2020. So hearing about OPEC obstacles, this is the problem of being a part of OPEC right now. Is that who would want to be a part of a super conglomerate, a cartel, whatever you call them, where you're not sure what 2021 is going to hold. You don't know when the demand's to come back, and you're trying to balance out, what's good for your country versus what's good for this other country, and all this stuff. And you got COVID lockdowns and COVID openings, and you got vaccines in the way, and people starving. If you go look globally, like the civil unrest globally, I know you know this, but just for people tuning in, there's a lot of civil unrest, and our media never covers international news, and so it kind of gets swept under the radar here. But you type in, Africa protests or Africa riots, all kinds. There's a war going on in Ethiopia right now. So who would want to be a part of OPEC right now, trying to figure out how you're going to control the market? Now, with that being said, from the U.S. side of things, I'd be concerned because if OPEC can come to an agreement, they could then crush the market. Just like the Saudis and the Russians did. And it's a little bit more nuanced than that, but just more or less what the Saudis Russians did back in March.
Right. And I mean, later yesterday, there was Ole Hansen, head of commodity strategy at Saxo Bank, said that it appears that OPEC Plus will not shoot themselves in the foot so close to the unexpected pickup in demand. So, I mean, if I was to take a WAG, or for those that don't know what WAG is, that's a wild guess for those the WAG. I'll keep out the A, but I would say that there will be no output increase, or it will be less than the 1.9 million anyway. If they come to some kind of undisclosed amount before the next couple of months. But I've been known to be wrong before, like one time. But what do you think?
Let me get your thoughts on this. So, you've got Libya, which is kind of exempt on some level, which has been increasing their oil production. And then also there's a lot of oil coming onto the market from Iran that no one really talks about because it's illegally being shipped and moved. And so,
of course,
if Biden comes in, maybe Q1, Q2, and somehow manages to deal with Iran, might we see the market take a hit from barrels that are actually already on the market? And that would be kind of weird, but you could see that as well. So what do you think about that?
I mean, the problem is with phantom tankers, you don't know where they're coming from or where they're going, or is it just, again, is that just market speculation? I mean, you can, these guys are supposed to put transmitters on board, and when they leave and when they come, it's supposed to be tracked to and from. But I mean, there's tons of them from what I'm understanding. It was headed out of Vietnam yesterday, so I'm not sure how that affects the market large scale. But again, you can't track something that you don't know. So
I know.
So I guess it's a waiting game. That's what it looks like.
Well, yeah, it's a waiting game. And then, I think, have we talked about the vaccine? Are we talking about the vaccine today?
No, no, I think it was only mentioned because of the oil prices. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
That's good.
yeah. Yeah, we've got a lot more shows to bring up good
Go
stuff
ahead.
on. So
Yeah.
yeah. So the other thing there was let me just bring up our little show rundown there.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, we covered the prices. We'll let's see. So next up, we'll talk about uh, our basically our KXL pipeline that's been in the hoop there for what now about 12 years.
Oh, gracious.
I mean, I'm not sure here how long that's how long they've been talking about that, Ryan? Do you remember right off the top of your head?
It it feels like as far back as I can remember. I mean, it's been forever, and yeah, with the change in administration, you have to wonder if this will finally be the death knell for it.
Well, uh, I mean, again, a lot of chatter, but I mean, it's hard to say yay or nay on it. But I mean, the one of the surprising things, I guess, is now, TC Energies went for the kill shot and pulled in the actual was it the or Six Nations? Which one is it? Yeah, and got the 765 million equity buy-in from them. So that's it was kind of interesting for me. And of course, when Reuters covered it, they went to the supporting banks for comment, and then there was no comment. So
Funny.
yeah, I mean, but right now, people still need heat, they still need gas, they still need transportation, man alive. I mean, it's not like it's something that's going to disappear, but it's all on demand.
Yeah, so this is 2010. So nice smooth decade.
Yeah, yeah,
This actually said okay. Construction started 2008, commissioned in 2010. So, so
amazing.
it's crazy.
It's almost like a mortgage.
The frustrating part for me about this is, let's just say that it gets going and everything gets approved and we don't hear about it again. The government doesn't have to pay back all the money for all the heartache that they've caused for this process.
No, that's right.
And so it's if this was damages from anyone else, you could go sue them, but you can't. So it's it's crazy.
No, it's not. I mean, and it's kind of like you when you pour the when you get the bath water nice and hot, and then you get a phone call and walk away,
Mm-hmm.
and you come back and it's cold, and everybody's got a. The thing about it is when you put projects like this on hold, it takes double amount of time to get started back up. So that's whether you're doing your proposals, whether you're finding crews, whether you find a material. I mean, it's not a a short process. So
Well, that and the other thing is, just real quick, is that if you're sitting there going, okay, we want to take oil from the north to the south, you're sitting there looking at this going, okay, is it really worth it? Because there's only so many spots that you can start and stop these projects. It's not like you can just start them anywhere. So you start, sitting on it. You start, putting it on a truck or rail, and you send it to the ocean, and you're putting it on a tanker, and you move it around. Well, that's more expensive. That costs. And so then you say, okay, well, we're going to go drill somewhere else. You start moving. The market starts to have to adapt to these delays because they don't feel like they can put forth these big, long lead capital expensive projects. Can't talk today. Intensive projects. And it's not at the end of the day, it's not good for the rest of us because, if you don't feel that you can reasonably do one of these projects, you're going to start changing other things. And those other things are subtle, but they do get changed. And then, you'll see reports in Canada about more spills on railways or tanker wrecks. And those are all results of, not necessarily all, some of those are results of problems like this.
I mean, it's for me, it's the the deficit between the WTI and the Brent. So I mean, if you look at bringing on new production, especially in the U.S. or opening up new facilities in the U.S., that has effects. But then you get these kind of delays in projects like this where it creates this hill and valley effect with your prices. So, but I mean, in other pipeline news, I see where Teleron has withdrawn their application for the Permian Global Access natural gas pipeline yesterday. So yeah, that was kind of news to me.
Yeah, was that because there's just so many lines out there? You're thinking,
I mean, I'd have as I was reading that yesterday. I mean, is that coming on? Is that coming behind? President and Chief Meg Gentle leaving the company? Is that something that
well, I didn't.
was that something that was
Yeah.
spearheaded? Was that something that was spearheaded by somebody else in the company, or I mean, because when executive leadership changes, obviously views of companies changes. So, I mean, is that something where the stockholders were like, whoop, whoop, hold on, let's hold on a little bit of that. Wait till after Christmas and see what the demand's going to do. I mean,
Well, you're talking about a pipeline that's 630 miles roughly, and so if you got FERC permitting all this stuff, I would imagine it's going to be a strategic change. It's not something that I don't know how far along they were the process, but I think that when you look at it, you say, hey, if you're going to pull this permit, you're probably going to, like you say, maybe you're shifting direction, or you just don't think the market demand's there. The pipeline issue, the Permian, has been there for quite some time. Back in 2018, I believe it was, Pioneer came out and said that we're going to be up to capacity with all these lines be full, and then going into 2019, we finally kind of caught up. So I wonder if this is a project that is just not viable right now, regardless of.
No, I think you're exactly right. I think you're exactly right. I mean, the other part, is the people planning on different parts of that project. So, I mean, with them, pulling that application, it wipes out probably a couple of thousand jobs there. So, that's the other part of it.
It's always bad for the folks in the field.
No, exactly. All right. So, Ryan, I know you've covered it. Before, and you've talked about it quite a bit, but we'll move on to our kind of business section there, and especially when it comes related to social networking and these platforms. So we'll this thing with DRW, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, so I guess it was it was Sunday. I ran across Breesy Breesy Carlson's post on LinkedIn.
Mm-hmm.
So what do you take of that?
So I'll be careful here. I probably have a little bit more information.
Well, I wouldn't expose anything that's going to get either one of us booted here. But
no. Yeah. I'm trying to. I got to remember what I've been told publicly and what I've been told privately. So let me just slow play this instead of spouting off like I normally do. I know publicly what I've said sometimes. I think this: if you go watch anyone who's frustrated with social media, whether that's YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, they all say the same thing. They all say, we could, and these are big content producers, we could go and sue these guys and and you never really hear about that happening and panning out well.
Nope.
And so I'm not saying so good on DRW for fighting. I commend him. I'm reluctant to think that it's going to have much luck. Now, I do think from what he's published publicly that if you go read some of that stuff, it seems to be that it's just one person who kind of got hacked off inside LinkedIn. And so maybe if you can get it elevated to the next person in the food chain, maybe you can get it overturned. But generally speaking, I think that, if you look at some of these, again, Shapiro, Crowder, Tim Pool, right, left, wherever, these guys that they're always complaining about this stuff, it doesn't seem that they really have a stroke, and they have a bigger than he does. And, that's just the fact of the matter. So I hope it works out. And, we try to put his stuff on our show and then put it on here just to kind of give it to him a little bit. But I think the larger thing is that, the concern is, and I wrote something about this yesterday, is that we've kind of gotten this spot to where, and I try to talk about this as often as I can, is that, when we were kids, at least when I was a kid, Greg, we were told sticks and stones can break your bones, but words can never hurt you. Well, that was a lie. That is not true. And if you go look globally, if you take somewhere like North Korea, I like using North Korea because everyone seems to hate those guys. If you take North Korea, what the speech that's allowed there is very, very small.
Exactly.
And that's because North Korea understands that words can hurt you and it can't hurt the leadership there. And so when we get back to America, people are like, well, you should say this, you shouldn't say this. And it's like, I understand that these are private platforms. That's a fine discussion. But generally, the public needs to understand that the more restrictive the speech is, the closer to North Korea you become. And I'm not trying to say that like, oh my God, we're all becoming, North Korea, but understand why North Korea doesn't want the speech out there. That's the larger thing. And the reason North Korea doesn't want the speech out there is they don't want you to think for yourself.
Well, the other thing, Ryan, is it's just like any kind of product that you're going to be invested in, or you're going to be, interested in the future. Regardless if it's your personal time, if it's your private time, if it's your money that you're putting into it, you need to look at, the stockholders of that company. If it's a publicly traded company, say like Microsoft, which owns LinkedIn, or, Twitter, which is also public, Facebook, all of these are. So, I mean, you have to look at, who owns these platforms, what they stand for, the other, markets that they're in, some of these things that they say publicly, the leadership of the company in other places. And it's not just the news feed, it's not just what you see on your device, it's everything publicly that these leaders, I mean, companies own shares of other companies. I mean, that's a fact. I mean, and the leadership of that company could be the leadership of another company as well. It's not, so it's an intertwined web there.
And they change the rules for other countries.
They do.
Change. That's what really frustrates me, is that they change the rules for other countries. You have them over here in the U.S. virtue signaling to whatever group they want, but then when they go to China, they're like, oh well, well, okay, the rules are completely different in China. Yes, exactly. And
sure.
So to be honest with you, I'm fine with them changing the rules for China, because if you want to play ball in China, that's how you got to play. But let's not act like, let's just quit pretending on what we're doing. Let's all say what we're doing. And that's, to me, where the hypocrisy comes in. It really frustrates me.
Well, I mean, just to kind of get it, down to the end here. But I mean, when I read her post and read the things about it, I mean, I think that, freedom of speech, backed up by facts, is something that, that's hard for some people to swallow these days.
Mm-hmm.
But these platforms and policies are not drastically different. I mean, we have our own policy here, with rig links, but what I mean is that you're in the hands of the person that that reviews your information. You're not necessarily, in the hands of the company, or the platform. You're being reviewed by one person, as you say. Being ticked off by that one person will take you completely off the platform, and there's nothing that can bring you back. I mean, but once you've been tagged a few times, whether it's spam, abuse, or basically anything that goes against the reviewing person's knowledge of the policies, they may not be as knowledgeable as the next person is of those policies, then that's it. But you can put 5 people in a room and you can tell that policy to the first person, and by the time it gets down to the 5th person, it's got a subclause in it.
Right.
So that's the way it works,
Yeah, and I am definitely not opposed to the platforms. Just my 2 cents on this. You want to get to the end? You said, if I were the platforms, what I would do is charge a small fee, $1, $10, $100 for the year, and then make every platform a membership. Okay, and then once you come in,
you're exactly right.
You're a member. It's not free. Now, and then as far as a member, you're agreeing to sell your data. You're agreeing to all this other stuff. And so I think that makes it a lot cleaner. But the reason the platforms don't do that is because people would then start to ask more questions. They start saying, wait, it's $1 for the year. Why are you charging me $1? And so,
for me, I also think it's an equity thing. So if you're personally invested in something, whether it's social media or say, the different things that we do, I mean, for me, it should be, some shares given to the users and the owners of the network, because you are the ones that create the media that goes on these platforms. So, there's different ideas out there, and there's different things we're even looking about doing on our side. I mean, you create the content, you should be part owner of the network. So, I mean, at the end of the day, it's, I think that, on our side, personally, I review each one of the abuse notifications that come through here. Yeah. And you have to be wildly off off center to get booted here or get deleted here. It's got to be
Mhm.
it's got to be something that we already have a law in place in the United States that you violated to get
Right.
booted. I mean, not it's not going to be because of your personal opinion. That's for sure.
Yeah, and it's funny because I send out my newsletter, and I get people who come back and just crucify. It's absolutely
I've,
crucify me.
I've seen some of those. They're great.
I don't pick them off unless they want to be left, unless they want to leave. And
I like some of the stuff that you've come across with. It's been great, man.
It's great.
That's why you're here with me.
Thank you. Anyways, I'm saying that I'm not. I'm saying this going again, right, for my newsletter. Unless you started sending me something that was illegal, it'd be like, okay, well, you can still subscribe.
Exactly. So we're going to jump off of this note here and move on because we could probably talk about that for the rest of the day. But what would our little show be without a bit of sports trash talking? So we're fixing to get into that. I can't. All right. So so first up there we've got it's going to be funny. I love this, man. So we've got on our list for let's see. So the Tyson and Jones fight. Yeah. Let's get over there a little bit. So I mean, I watched that. I said, I remember the heyday with these guys. I mean, I actually watched the Tyson Buster Douglas fight, and when he, lost the title. But hey, I mean, touche for the guy to jump in there and want to be at it, right? So
That's right.
I mean, yeah. So I'm gonna just play a quick clip here and jump through a couple of seconds, and then we'll make a few comments on it. Let me find my tab here. Takes a lot to get all that lined up for sure.
Oh, I know the feeling. Trust me.
So here we go. All right. Let me blow this up pretty big here so I don't get sued for copyright infringement. This is Bauer fight. All that goes to him. So let's play a few minutes of that.
Two of the greatest fighters of all time, to put it simply.
Can I just say I've never looked as good as either of these guys in my entire life.
Two of the greatest of all time right there.
Been waiting for two legends in one ring.
Michael Buffer, man.
I know, the GOAT.
Wow.
I guess what's Brazil watching? Eddie James.
And touche to Triller too. I mean, they put on a pretty decent show.
It was, wasn't it?
Standard black shorts with the black shoes.
Yeah. God, he was so menacing when he comes out. But
Wow.
He is. He definitely was.
So we're obviously not going to go through every punch in this show, but I mean, it was in this match, but it was I liked it. I thought it was very entertaining. I think to see these two guys back at it again. I mean, the jump on down here to the 8:15 mark, and the commentators, they had Sugar Ray Leonard and Snoop Dogg there. And so listen, guys, I mean, and ladies out there, if there's ever an event that Snoop Dogg is, commentating on, it's going to be funny. There's going to look, man, he made the end of this live event. He made it, right. He was for me, it was great.
Yeah, I think so. I think the question is moving forward. So a lot of people got mad that it was called a draw. I don't know if people knew this. It had to be a draw. The state commission said that no winner can be announced, and so
exactly.
Now they took him out of the ring and they announced the winner. They announced it out of the ring. I think that was part of there couldn't be a winner, so that it was like part of the show. It wasn't part. If you watch fights in the ring, they make the announcement. So
that's right. So here's that part of the clip. Nice. Can't wait for that. Thanks, YouTube. You slid that one right in there on me.
The former WBC World Champions is a draw.
Yep. So yeah, that was a draw. So yeah,
I mean, obviously, anybody watched that, I think. I thought Tyson won. What'd you think?
I think Tyson won too.
Right.
I mean, if you look at Roy Jones Jr. and after even a couple of minutes after the fight, he was still winded.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he took a couple of those kidney shots from Tyson, so he probably wasn't up to speed. But
yeah. So just for people who don't know, though, I have tried to tell people that there could not by the whatever were they in LA or did they remember Nevada?
They were in California, but I mean the WBC totally be a non-sanction. They went up on 2 ounces up on the gloves, so yeah.
So it was an exhibition fight, and that was kind of some of the concern. If you watch kind of the hardcore boxing reporters, they're making it clear the promotion was more of, hey, we're promoting a fight here. So that was kind of the balance you had to watch for. But I hope they do it again. I heard Buster Douglas wants him. I heard Evander wants him, and McBride wants him. So how much?
That's going to be good, man.
How much for you to go fight Tyson right now?
No, that's good. I mean, I'd take $10 million right now.
I'd take $10 million.
I mean, I was even saying back in the day I'd let him hit me, just for the money. And I mean, back in the day he was making more than $10 million. So I mean, I'd take a hit for 10 right now.
Well, I wouldn't take the hit, but I'd get the ring.
Well, I mean, you just do like Roy. He didn't take the hit either. So
all I gotta do is step in there and then him come across and I just fall down like the fainting goat,
Exactly. Just scream real hard and drop. But I mean, the undercard for the fight, the next part of that with the Nate Robinson and Jake Paul fight. I mean, or let me rephrase that: Jake Paul and Nate Robinson fight.
Yeah.
So that was for me. So my 15-year-old and I, we had obviously he's a bit more into YouTube, got a little bit more his hand wrapped around kind of the younger generation of people here. But I mean, obviously Logan and Jake are pretty famous, YouTube stars there, and got millions of followers around the world. And I mean, I think our complete following is smaller than their Instagram following. And I mean, we're only 350,000. I mean, that's a drop in the bucket for Jake Paul. But like they said, one of the commentators, I can't remember which one of the commentators said that Jake Paul talks a dump truck full of trash. It's the boy talks trash. But here we'll play the clip, and I think my
guy Nate.
I think he backed it up.
Nate, don't do it to him. Don't do it to him. You're gonna do it to him. Okay.
Oh. Look, that wasn't a hard one. But listen to Snoop though. I mean, I have laughed. I'm laughing now just thinking about it.
This next scene is rated immature.
So this clip is from Concepts, but you hear a little bit of chatter in the background. But still, here it is. Here's the big one.
Did my guy dirty.
Okay. He laid like I mean, my comment was his feet were side by side like two baby pigs in the yard, and they were not moving for minutes. I thought the guy was completely gone. I mean, he was, and when they said he looked like he needed medical attention, I was like, I thought the guy was in a bind for sure.
I thought going into this fight that Nate was going to take him. If you go back and watch NBA scraps,
I did too, man.
Nate was game to throw in the NBA. Like he was not seen. You can see that clip there. He's coming forward. It's not like he's scared. He's not a good boxer.
The problem is he was coming forward with his head. That's the problem.
Yeah, that's not.
But look. I mean, after the fight, even with Jake Paul calling out Conor McGregor, it's kind of like, yeah, the boy wants to fight, but I don't know if he's to that level yet or not. I mean,
well, I think so. There's two things. right? So there's the money side and then there's the skill side. So obviously Conor McGregor wasn't skilled enough to fight Floyd Mayweather, but the money side made sense. I don't know if Jake Paul has the money side. Like to me, Jake Paul knock out Nate Robinson. His fans would pay for him to fight Conor. I don't know how many Conor fans would pay to see that because you're paying to see, what's going to happen. Connor's going to go in there and murk him. Well, Jake Paul is probably a pretty big guy because, I don't know if Connor's big enough to fight him. How big is Jake? Because he looks pretty big in that clip there.
I'd have to go back and, but he was the heavier of the two here. Yeah.
Let's see here. Because I think so he's 6'1". And so I don't know if Conor height and weight. Let's see here, 6'1". Oh gracious, I can't see it. 181 pounds. So Conor fights, 155, 170. So Conor could fight him. Conor beat him, but I just, I don't think there's really the money side for that. Do you? Do you think a lot of people would pay to see that?
I mean, the thing about him calling out Conor McGregor is Dana White's not going to let Conor McGregor walk again for into something like that for a long time, because I mean, when Conor did the fight with Floyd there, he didn't fight again in MMA or with Dana White for almost a year.
Right.
So he was basically, was probably behind the scenes that said, hey, Dana said, you want to do this? Well, you have to take a year off from us to get back in the ring or get back in the octagon. So, yeah, so there was a large time frame there, and that was obviously the money that Conor got out of that fight with Floyd. Stood the test of time over the year there that he was away from that. But I can guarantee there were some other things in the background there, and Dana White wasn't real pleased about it. But
yeah, well, the Paul guys are good promoters, so you
totally.
Chael Sonnen, he always would call out guys well above his fighting level, and he got a lot of big fights for that. So you call out Conor McGregor, you're not going to fight Conor, but you'll get someone. And the trick for the Paul guys is to fight someone who can't fight. That's the thing, because they're not okay. A real boxer would murk them, but against these guys who can't box, they can do okay and they can win fights. And so they seem to be tough guys to get in there and throw hands. And so if they can just kind of find these other kind of old celebrities or quasi celebrities, go in there, knock them out.
It's entertainment, man. It's entertainment.
Right.
I mean, I didn't hear any of them calling out Tyson Fury or any of those guys. So
yeah, they're not calling out Lomachenko.
Yeah. No, I mean, again, it's about entertainment. I was entertained. It was, and I mean, and I was thinking, okay, so the pay-per-view was, $50. And I mean, but I mean, I watched all the rounds. I watched every fight that was there. I was entertained the entire time. And it took me back to, whenever I was, 15, 16 years old, whenever we were, HBO Sports were doing these with these guys, and I mean, it was just, you had everybody in the room, and it was just the anticipation, and, Triller and Tyson give a little bit of that value back, so even just pulling that back from my memories, it was worth it,
Oh yeah, it was a good show.
All right, let's see. Moving on to our next thing here was Vandy. Yeah, so we'll talk about.
You're in trouble now, aren't you?
Well, I'm not. I'm going to try not to, but we will just jump right on over here to this. All right. Before she rips off on this kick, I'm going to say they lost the game. I'm also going to say it wasn't just a loss, but it was crap. It was like crap. Anyway, for me, before she kicks that ball, I'm all about diversity. I don't want anyone to think I'm not about diversity, but I'm gonna say that it's diversity. It's difference between diversity and the right person for the job. So, I mean, I've seen crap kicks from a lot of dudes as well, and so I'm just going to be seriously honest here. This kick was the equivalent of any crappy kick I've ever seen before. So, probably a little bit worse. I mean, all right. So, thoughts?
You're gonna get me in trouble.
No, I'm not gonna get you in trouble. I mean, it's about it. I'm gonna again, like I said, it's a crap kick, and it's it's just the way it is. I mean,
so to your point, you said so. I've got one son and 3 daughters, for what that's worth, and a wife. So I'm around a lot of women. I'm pro diversity in that capacity as well. So I think there's several things here. Let's take it like this. You know, it's historic for the girl kicker to go kick in the SEC. Now there has been a girl kicker in Division I football before, about 20 years ago. She played in, I think, the Sun Bowl or something like that, and she missed the extra point. So it's not the first time in 1A football; it's the first time in SEC. So we've said, okay, well, it's not necessarily new from that standpoint.
No.
But the other thing is, if you go listen to all the people talk about it, they had other options for kicker, and they didn't want to do that. So, as you say, it's about the right man for the job. The final thing is she addressed the team at halftime. Let me just say, I never played
Yeah.
college football, but I've been around football at the college level, and I played from the time I was 5 or 4, I think, all the way through high school. And I was in many college locker rooms, just ball boy and stuff like that. And I've coached teams. The kicker does not get up and address the football team.
No, that's right. But
especially your first day on the job. Like, you don't come in and say, hey, so I don't care if you're a girl, if you're a boy, if you're an alien. The kicker sits in the corner and they kick in their little net and they do their thing. And that's what the kicker does. And there's a reason for that. And listen, I wasn't good enough to play college ball, so I'm not like Mr. Athlete here. But when we played, I played offensive line. There was something different about what we were doing versus what the kicker was doing. We were out there taking a beating every single play.
Right.
And so, I wasn't good enough to start to my senior year. So sophomore year, I took a beating. Junior year, I took a beating. Senior year, I took a beating. And I was a starter, but I was still taking a beating. For the kicker to come out and say, hey, you're not putting forth enough. It's like, well, why don't you go out there and take that beating? And so I think that's the larger problem I have with the story is that, I get it. She comes from a championship team and all that stuff. But if I just don't think, I don't know where you get the gall to come and talk as a kicker. I don't care what your gender is. As a kicker to address a team is crazy to me.
To James Reagan's questions here, I think she would have gotten tackled just like anybody else would have gotten tackled. So,
and one other thing is, if you kick the ball out of bounds, it's only a 5-yard difference from where she kicked it at.
Right.
And so if this would have been a male kicker, we'd been like, oh my God, that is the worst kick ever. And so
no, that's why I opened it up with saying it was a crap kick, because it was. I mean, there was no doubt about it.
And so I'm just my question to you is when you examine this, can we critique this as a football play, or do we have to critique it as it's the first girl in the SEC to kick a ball? Because if it's a football play, she should have her scholarship yanked if she has one for the football. She doesn't, but if she's a scholarship athlete, we'd say, okay, good God, don't ever trot that person on the field again. They are horrific. Okay, so if that's what we'd say if we were examining it as a football play.
I would be honest, Ryan. I can't make that comment because I haven't watched her goaltend either, so I don't know.
No. I'm talking about yanker for a football scholarship.
If it was football related, yes, I would have to say that there would definitely be another candidate lined up after that.
Exactly.
So,
you keep her scholarship.
She'd spend some time practicing. That's for sure.
Right. And so my question to you is that do you examine this as a football play? And so if you had a girl come out as quarterback and she threw 3 picks for Alabama, would you say, well, this is the greatest thing ever? It's a girl playing Alabama. Or would you say, well, she threw 3 picks. So that I don't know how we're supposed to talk about these news stories because as a football player, it's irrelevant. They're getting blown out. It's not very good. And she probably should be kicking again because she's just not good enough.
I mean, for me, I want to see her in again. I want to see her do the time. I want to see her do another kick. I want to see her keep kicking. I mean, that's the only way you build up a name in this. That way it's not virtue signal. So you got to do it. You got to keep going. I mean, there's a lot of people that are hired for jobs that can't do jobs, man. I mean, look at me. I'm live right now.
Okay. Okay.
So, all right. The next one we're going to run to here is, look, man, I think this F1 crash is probably, listen, the last time I saw a fire like this in Bahrain was in 2017 when the Bapco pipeline exploded. But let me just play this clip. So it's wild. Okay. Now, I don't know how many. I'm sure most people out there watch this race, or especially our friends in the Eastern Hemisphere. But holy crap, that guy was in that car for, I don't know, Ryan, how long?
Yeah, too long.
He, he was in there for, I think, at least a minute and a half,
Yeah.
something like that. I mean, but what do you think? I'll just stop
Can
there.
you back it up? So I want to get your picture. Back it up to right at to the very beginning, and I want to ask you about one thing on here. It looks like he's kind of out of it at the beginning, like he's almost wanting to go back to the fire. Did you catch that when they pull him out of the car? He's like kind of walking around discombobulated. What do you think was going on there? I mean, obviously,
Well, I'll tell you exactly. I'll tell you exactly what's going on there. He's got the same thing that happened to him, the same thing that happened to Nate Robinson. So when he woke up, he realized he was sitting in the middle of the flames of hell.
yeah.
So when he was like, oh, what's happening here?
Yeah, because when he gets out of the car at the very beginning, he's like trying to lean on the guy, he's trying to get back in. And it's like, whoa, like man, that is one of the scariest things I've seen in a long time. I did. Did you see the pipeline, the tanker, the truck blow up in Honduras the other day?
No, I missed that one.
Oh gracious! It was kind of like this deal, except for it was tragic. But this, I don't watch a lot of this type of racing. Is this common to have these type of wrecks?
No, it's been a long time since that. But I mean, there has been some good wrecks, but never been an explosion like that. So it's I mean, again, if that had been 10, 15 years ago, that guy wouldn't be walking away. Technology has got these guys to where that I mean, they're inside basically of a capsule. So
yeah, and I saw him say they got the neck thing kind of like they do with NASCAR, I guess.
I guess a Hans device that secures their neck. Yeah.
Yeah, and so that saved him, because without that, he probably would have snapped his neck.
So what James is saying here is that said he pulled 50 G's when he hit the barrier.
Jeez.
So that means he was asleep.
Wow.
Most of us can't pull 50 G's. So, I mean, I don't know what the NASA testing is, but I think they start you out at like 5 and they start walking you up until they make you pass out. So, yeah, I mean, that's 50 G's. That's more G's than I got in the bank.
Yeah, well, yeah, that, but also, I tell you what, an attaboy for the dude that pulled him out of the car, because that is a scary moment. You got to go pull someone out of that car, and it's got to be hundreds of degrees hot. You could feel the heat on you, and you got to go get someone out.
And that's jet fuel, man. It's burning. It's the hottest burn you'll ever be around.
Yeah, that's crazy. That's crazy.
Well, I'm glad that Roman walked away from that, and I mean, I think that
he's out of the hospital now too.
His family are probably pretty stoked, and they're probably not wanting to let him get back in the car for a little while. But I mean, it's terrible. I'm glad that the guy made it out of there, but to go through the event, that's one that's one he won't forget. And typically, what happens with these kind of things is a lot of it kind of breaks their enthusiasm, and they retire or they move on or find something else to do. But hey, we'll see what he does.
Well, can you blame him? I mean,
no, no, not at all. I mean, a normal fire extinguisher won't even put that out.
I don't want to go do it just by watching this.
No, but it makes you want to watch more races, and this is why people do this. Even with NASCAR, people want to see, they want to see people win races, but they also, the next thing to it is they want to see people have wrecks and accidents. Man, everybody are thrill seekers, right? So,
are you big into the NASCAR?
No, sir. I'm not. I used to be years and years ago. I mean, but up and when Dale Sr. got killed there, I lost a lot of love for the sport.
Yeah,
and especially through some of the other things that's happened with NASCAR here over the last 12 months or so. It's probably not the right time to be talking about that, but I mean, when you have garage door ropes that scare people. When you have garage door ropes that scare people, I mean, it's a whole nother conversation.
Oh, gracious.
And get you and get us in trouble again. But hey, I think that's us, Ryan. We went quite a bit over time there, but it's been an absolute blast for the first live one here.
Yeah, man. I'm glad we did it. It's awesome.
Absolutely. I think the next time we will probably be maybe a bit longer, but we'll see. And it was excellent.
If you get me on here, it's trouble.
No, it was absolutely excellent. And yeah, so for everyone out there watching, there's sponsorship opportunities for both Ryan and I, and we've got bills to pay. We got babies that need shoes. Ryan's got a bunch of ladies in the house there, and a young man that needs a college education along with mine too. So feel free to jump in there. We have a different model here where we work everything off of impressions. So we got spots available, tons of it. So jump in there, give us an email at info@ringlinks.com or hit Ryan or myself up on LinkedIn and get in there, get you a spot in the show. We'll take on guests later on. Depends on whatever we want to do. So
also, small prediction here. Next week, we're just going to say it's an hour-long show.
I would say yes. I would say yes.
Greg's going to say we're doing 30 minutes and then we do another hour. It's like, okay, I don't care. It's great. This is Greg's show. Ryan's just a guest, a weekly guest.
No, I think when we got on the DRW there, I think the time frame there it changes because we both have different ideas about the world, and that's what's that's what I like about having both of us here.
That's right. Well, thank you for having me, Greg, and reaching out for doing this.
Absolutely, man. Love it. Talk to you next week.
Bye, everyone.
Bye, everyone. Thank you. You've been watching Overtime, a live series brought to you by Rick Links and War Room Media. Your hosts have been Greg Williams and Ryan Ray. For sponsorship opportunities, send us an email at info@riglinks.com. Tune in next Thursday at 10 a.m. CST for another live episode.